Hello. Sorry, I am multitasking as I always do. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So, for every one of my Chief sisters who are over
So,
in the Chief link,
did y'all understand that as
please
I'm
make sure to go over to the YouTube. And so that's www.youtube.com/at Leigh Felton, or go to my LinkedIn Live event page. So hello, nice to see you. Nice to see you, all of you out there. We'll start this out as we always do. Just would love to have you say hello. Who are you? Where are you dialing in from? Um, I just like to know that there's people out there. And so I'm one of those individuals that like to engage in conversation. And so you'll hear me say it like each and every time we have this session that I can talk at you and I can talk at you, but it's better if we have an actual conversation. So please use the I am window to have that conversation, to let me know you're out there, to say hello, to tell me where you're calling from. So would love to hear from you. So as everyone is doing that, let me just say hello again. My name is Leigh Felton, and this is So You're Thinking About Being a Chief of Staff. And this is where, whether you're thinking about being a chief of staff, whether you are a chief of staff, whether you're even a person who is not titled chief of staff, but you feel like you're doing those responsibilities, or you're potentially thinking about hiring a chief of staff, or you have already hired a chief of staff and you want to know how to get the best partnership and impact out of that function. So this is so you're thinking about being a chief of staff, where we talk about all things chief of staff. So first, I would like to have each of you, if you're not going to say hello and good morning, I would like each of you to think about what is that one thing that just takes you away. Like, no matter how bad your day might have been, no matter how absolutely full, your schedule had been, there is something that you enjoy so much that it literally just relaxes you, or takes you away, or takes you to a calming place. So put that in the I am window. What is your relaxation therapy? Is it gardening? Is it hiking? Is it traveling? Is it, your cat, your dog? Are you a museum person? What is the thing out there that just makes you truly just kind of relax and just kind of reset? So, the reason that I'm asking that question, so for me, it's anime. Good nor bad, nor good nor bad, nor right nor wrong. I love anime. Um, but that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that thing that you love so much, and being able to have a place of relaxation and rest. As they say, the chief of staff role, is it a 24/7, 365, gig? And I always say balance is what you make it. And so, are you always on? Are you not always on? It truly depends on the executive, the need of the relationship, all of the things that would go into you determining what your balance will be. But as you think about, whether you have a period of time where you have to go, 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 and then you get a step back and rejuvenate, you have to have something. And the reason that I bring that up specifically is today we're going to talk about town halls, your org meetings, your business meetings, your all team, all employee meetings. So a lot of companies do, whether you call them town halls, all hands, there's different gatherings, whatever you call it, as you get together for brief conversations and updates to your organization. We're going to talk about those today and the role of the executive chief of staff. And so people ask me all the time, does a chief of staff do like company events? What do you think? Do chiefs of staff do company events? Are they responsible for company events? Yes or no? It depends, right? So in every chief of staff role that I have had, in terms of the strategy for the employee events, absolutely. Absolutely. I would not see a chief of staff not being responsible for that. The town hall, the all hands, these meetings that you're putting on for your entire organization, for your people, they're so important because this is how your executive shows up to all of the employees. This is how the senior leadership team shows up. This is how your strategy, the progress you're making or the progress you're not making, the culture that you're trying to drive or the culture you're not trying to drive. This is how all of those things over a period of time, how all of those things come together. And so, whether you're doing the catering or not, that is a whole other story. So typically that would not be in the executive chief of staff function. But in terms of how are we going to land all of the work we're doing, what the employees need to know, what we've heard, why all of this matters, why, we in the leadership team are still, an employee of this company. And so this is your opportunity to have that relationship and connection with your employees. And so the reason that I had each of you think about your primary relaxation and, rejuvenating technique is because we all have something, or hopefully, if you don't, then maybe you are just, maybe your thing is music. Whatever it may be, we all have something that we navigate to. Our senior leaders have things that they navigate to. Our executive has things that they navigate to. Those things are personal to you. And of course, as we all know, it's like, I always talk about authentic leadership. And so I will tell anybody that I watch and enjoy anime. So it's personal to me, but it doesn't mean that I can't talk about it. But when I say it's personal to you, how many of you have been to all hands or town hall meetings where the executive or somebody on the senior leadership team, they get up and they put up a picture of their plant, whatever it is. They put up a picture of their dog, or they put up a picture of this great mountain that they have climbed. And like literally the entire time they're talking, it is all about this plant that they have cared for and nurtured forever, or it's about that mountain that they've climbed, or it's about the last basketball game that they had. And they spend the entire time they're talking using their passion, the thing that they care so much about, as the only way to connect with the employees. Again, authentic leadership is about sharing yourself and allowing some of that vulnerability to come out. And that's completely fine. But it's not about everybody attaching to what is important to you. When you create these town hall spaces, or these spaces for your executive, your CEO, or your senior leadership team, or yourself, when you create these spaces to show up, it's important that you are authentic and have that level of vulnerability. But it's also important that you think about and embrace your entire audience, And so, yes, if you want to use an example, 2 examples of your plant, your mountain, your dog, go right ahead and do that. But don't spend the entire time, and don't let your executive spend the entire time, no matter how passionate they are about, you name it, skiing, about basketball, about boating, as passionate as they might be, if you spend the entire time just focused on metaphors, analogies, and talking about how awesome it is that this person got to travel to all these places that more than half your audience, won't get to travel to, that is not connecting to your employees. That is not bringing them in to the conversation and helping them see you, but also see themselves as part of the organization, as part of the company, as part of the ultimate strategy, vision, and mission. And so that is my number one thing for you to consider are the stories that are connected with whatever you're presenting, or your executives or your senior leadership team are that they're presenting at these sessions. That be thoughtful and considerate very broadly about those stories, about how you're going to, a lot of times between the senior leadership team, they'll pass the baton and talk about the same thing and build on that. Or you want to talk about this plant, then everybody else feels the need to pull up a plant. Or you want to talk about your dog and everybody wants to pull up a picture of a dog, or even your kids, and everybody starts pulling up their pictures of their kids. It's okay to share, but sharing in a way that helps them know you, not sharing in a way that you're trying to help them see themselves in the things that you're so passionate about, or that you have access to, or that you have privilege of. So we'll put that aside, please. So for everything else that I talk about, think about the story that you're telling to your employees in these sessions. They matter. How you come across, it matters. So now, as we think about the town hall, like I said, does the executive chief of staff get involved? Absolutely, because of all of the things that I've already said. Now, how do you go about thinking through how often you have a town hall? So hopefully you have a rhythm of the business, rhythm of operations. And so we've already talked about that many times, but you have this rhythm of operations where every quarter, this is what month 1, month 2, month 3 looks like. The second quarter, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, the first half, the second half, and then the full year. So across that time period, what is happening? Do you have board meetings? So what in that whole time period, what updates do you need to consistently make to the organization? So let's say your board meetings are the second month of every quarter. Maybe the town hall meetings then would follow in the next quarter, the first month of the next quarter. So there's different ways of doing it, but however you think about what are those significant periods of time that the employees, after you've had a chance to go through it, think through it, and put an orchestrated strategy, and how to bring them in and to digest the information and see their part that they're going to play in that strategy. What are those periods of time along that rhythm that you need to make sure that if there's a change, if there is progress, if there is a setback, that you need to make sure that you have that space to communicate to the employees and what the organization is doing, what you need from them, something big is happening, whatever, that you have pre-planned in your rhythm those times that you need to make sure that your employees are updated. And if you have that as a scheduled event across the rhythm of the business calendar year, if you have that, and so every other month we're going to have a town hall. Once a quarter, we're going to have a town hall. Once a semester, that is a little too brief to me. But to each their own, right? But wherever that is, when you feel like you need to get in that schedule, this is where we make big decisions, or this is where we, determine how we're doing. So whenever you're looking at that you've built, pre-built. So it's already scheduled. You already have a work back on how you need to build it. So if your town halls are going to be the first, well, I doubt they'd be the first month, but let's say they're the last week, the first month of every quarter. That is your town hall schedule. So you have 4 a year. They're each the last week, the first month of the quarter. You already know your work back. So we have our QBRs. The QBRs happen, the last month of the quarter before that. So you already have the content from your QBRs. You have your board meeting. So you already have in place. So this is not reinventing things. You already have in place those things leading up to the town hall meeting. You already have that content. So it's just about scrubbing that content, not overwhelming everybody in the company with every little detail, every little line item. That's not what these are about. It's not, if you go over your financials, it's not about going through every line item of the financials. What is the story? And so you take all of that content over that period of time till you get to your time hall and you say, now, what is it that we have actually said here? So if we're talking about financials, our revenue went up, revenue went down, our spending is high, our spending, nobody's going to say our spending is low. She just won't say that. But whatever it is that you need to pull out of that financials discussion, that's what you present. What is it that you need to say about the board meeting? We met with the board, and what? This is not something that needs to be like held close to the chest. Transparency is one of the first qualities of a truly impactful leader. And so what happened at the board meeting, what, based on confidentiality and all of that, what do you need to share with the employees who are believing in you as leaders and who is believing in the board? What do you need to share? What happened at you had a conference, you had several engagements, whatever it is. What is the story? Not all the details, but what is it that you need to make sure that this audience, that they understand, that they can relate to, and that they can connect to? Okay, so that first, know how you're coming across. Second, know the content, know the story, know what this audience needs to know, and to be transparent and to be helpful. So if it's not going to be helpful, transparency, just is not necessarily the way to go either. It is about that helpful transparency. That it's not that you're covering something up, but that you want to make employees feel and know they are part of what is going to bring this company to its mission, to its multi-year plan. And so that's one of the things that you do. And then the other thing is, you talk about speakers. And so I've had all kinds of town hall sessions where every member of the SLT gets up and they each get distributed this exact same amount of time to talk about their line of business. This is not about a production. This is not about stage time. What does your audience need to know at that point of the business? So if it is mid-year, you're having significant, this is where you're really focused on revenue. You're really focused on the financial aspects of things, because your second half of the year is going to determine, whether this fiscal was successful, whether you have gotten to the point of your, multi-year plan, whether you're making that progress. And so there's going to be times where certain things are more important. And so it's not about spreading equal time across your senior leadership team, even, at all. And so it's very important for you to think about that time of what needs to be presented, and also who is the best person to say that message. It might be the senior leadership team member. It might be the director or the program owner. Who is the person that should be delivering that message? And sometimes the delivery of that message doesn't always come from the person that owns the message. So even who delivers what, these are the things that a chief of staff you have thoughts about. So you structure the program, you structure the agenda, you work with your executive, you work with your leadership team. This is a collaboration. This is not also a situation where the chief of staff just goes and says, okay, here it is, and you do it, and this is what it's going to be. It's like, what's going on? What do we need to present? And you get all of that feedback, and together as a team, you put together whatever that town hall needs to be. Now, Q&A. I've seen it done many different ways. And I think the absolute worst way that I've seen it done, to be completely honest, was a CEO that required all questions to be sent to them in advance of the town hall. And so the CEO gets all these questions and is the person that's going through and determining what questions get answered. Would not be my recommendation. Would not be my recommendation. The CEO has the vision, is the leader of this organization, but the CEO is also a person with limited perspective. So let's say, for whatever reason, you don't have the type of town hall or the type of organization where you feel comfortable doing live Q&A. So people do have to submit questions in advance. And there's many reasons for that. Not going to knock it, because there's some times where that actually is what's better for the organization. So if that is the situation that you're in, first of all, I don't know why the CEO, I mean, yes, a lot of the questions might be directed to the CEO, and the CEO might feel this is how I connect with my employees by, taking all of these questions. But do you think, and there are some people who's like, oh, I'm going to give it to the CEO, but do you think truly, knowing that the CEO is the one that's getting, I'm supposed to email the CEO or whatever, is the one that's getting and compiling all of these, is going to have people really ask the questions that they want? And so how are you, anonymously or not, how are you collecting those questions? Who is the one that is asking people to submit questions? I would argue it shouldn't be your CEO. Shouldn't be the CEO. I would say it should be the chief of staff, or whoever else is designated, if there's a comms owner or something for the company, for the chief of staff, for the CEO. It's so much better to collect that and make people feel more neutral. And then it is also okay to group those questions. You get the basic understanding of what they're trying to ask through those questions. So it's okay to group those questions. You don't have to answer every single question asked, but you group those questions. And it's okay to admit that we got a toughie. One of the employees is not happy. They think that we have done something wrong. It's okay to admit that. You don't drag it on. It's like, you know what? This is the decision that we made because, and for right now, we're going to continue on that route. So we hear you, and I understand there's some, discontent with that, but we need to stick together. I mean, so this is also that opportunity of, reinforcement and re-encouraging employees that you're on the right track. And also, it's okay to say, I just don't know, or I need to find out, or we're going to get somebody on that. And if you're going to get somebody on that, get somebody on that. It's critical that when you make commitments to your employees, to your board, to your leaders, to your partners, to your customers, that you actually follow through. But then there are the live, a lot of people call them different things. I typically call them Ask Me Anything sessions, AMAs. And so these are when you can take live questions from the audience. And, you have your senior leadership team sitting, or if it's virtual, you have your senior leadership team all there with their mics turned on, ready to answer the question. And then hey, Mike, you take that one. Sue, you take that one. For Ask Me Anything questions, sessions, you do and should have your full leadership team there. The company should know that they have access to your full leadership team. And the same rules apply. If you get a disgruntled employee, they're very upset about something. There's lots of things going on in society that companies, they're not, they're not corporate, but it's very political, but companies are being held by their employees to their own personal values and standards. And so you're going to get employees who disagree with certain things or want your organization to come out very boldly or very strongly about a stance that they believe is true to their heart. So you're going to get that, and you show true sympathy, but the town hall is not the place to get into non-business political discussions. It won't end well for anybody to do that. So have the sympathy. If you have resources for the employees, share those resources, but don't dive into that discussion during an Ask Me Anything town hall session. Okay. I think we've covered it, from the stories, pulling it together, to the agenda, following the rhythm of the business, rhythm of operations, to your speaker lineup, to your Q&A, to, again, as we say, the follow-up, the commitment that you have made or that your leaders have made, that you hold each one of them accountable. I always do an action item tracker. Action item tracker, AIT report is what I call it. And so anything that we've committed as a leadership team to our employees, to the board, to our partners, to the field, anything that we've committed, I've always tracked on that action item tracker to make sure that we know this is what we said, this is when we said we were going to do it, and why haven't we done it? Or we can't do it. Okay, then let's still capture it and say, well, we can't do it. And then you can put it on hold or you can close it. So there's so many things that that seem simple to a lot of people, like town halls and these kind of things. It's like, oh, we're just going to update them. And you do the same slides. Oh, we do our anniversary slides. Hey, happy anniversary to whatever. We do our kudos slides, and then we get into the budget. People don't want to hear the same things over and over and over. They don't want to, of course, celebrate the people in your company, but they don't want the same agenda over and over and over. They get to the point where they're saying, okay, I'll tune into or at least I'll have the company meeting up on that computer while I'm actually getting stuff done. You're going to lose your employees if what you're talking about to them is not adding value. If you're just showing up to pat each other, meaning the executive, the SLT, the chief, if you're just showing up to pat each other on the back, then I would say rethink how you're doing your company meetings, your town halls, your all hands, because this is not about you all showing up and lifting each other up. It's about you showing up and being informative. And so if your town hall agenda is the same every single time, that's something you probably want to reconsider. Always, I enjoy the conversation. I hope you do. People were quiet today, and I know I had people join because I had a whole bunch of people, even through Chief. So don't know what's going on. Maybe it's just, everybody going through graduation. There's stuff going on, as you prepare for summer, whatever it may be. I hope your quietness is a part of your peace and your content. And I will see you, 2 weeks for those of us in the US. We have the 4th of July holiday. So I am skipping the 2-week session, and then I'll see you in 2 weeks from then. Until that time, thank you so much for tuning in. I truly hope something that I have said here is valuable, is helpful, and helps you better understand the significant impact that an organization can have from an executive chief of staff. Okay, until next time, take care and have a beautiful start to your summer.